Have you ever seen a golden snail ship sailing through the magical realm of the sea to the Spiral Isles? Well, 5-year-old Wilbur decided to see it and do it. Wilbur set out to be the Grand Enchanter. Legend tells of a golden snail that lived long ago in the mythical Spiral Isles. When it journeyed through its magical realm, it took on the shape of a fantastical golden galleon, a sailing ship. One day a grand enchanter captured the mighty beast and put it under a spell. Forcing it to obey his commands, he roamed the ocean aboard the Golden Snail for 100 years. When finally he tired of life, the grand enchanter banished the Golden Snail to the ends of the earth, so no one else could sail in it, and there it remains to this very day, until a new master comes to claim it. Whosoever finds the snail must utter a magic verse to break the spell. Snailing ship, rise and shine, hoist your sails and trim them fine. Taste one more of the salty brine, for with the spell I make you mine. And then the grand enchanter, or gallant captain, the golden snail is theirs to command. Back in 100 years, Wilbur told his mother as he set off for the ends of the earth. As he turned his little sailboat into the breeze, he recited the magic spell. Be sure to wear the captain's hat. I made you, his mother called out. This story is called The Legend of the Golden Snail. Graeme, who wrote the story and did the artwork for the story, decided to do something new. He spent almost 2 months on a big ship and created this story about Wilbur and his cat, who have a great adventure on the sea. Wilbur came to a bush of blossoming butterflies. They were wilting in the sun. I don't have time to stop, said the grand enchanter. I'm off to the ends of the earth to find the golden snail. But he looked again at the butterfly buds. They seemed so hot and so thirsty, and so Wilbur couldn't help himself. He took out his watering can and sprinkled the butterfly bush with water. He saw a coral island and sailed into the little bay. All at once the island transformed into a monstrous sea creature. Take that, cried the grand enchanter, prodding the monster in its weak spot. But then he saw it was tangled in a net. Hardly a fair fight. Hold still, he commanded. He released the monstrous sea creature from the tangled net while his cat hid under the boat seat. A motley crew of earwig pirates aboard a bulbous bottle boat were catching unlucky lanternfish and stealing their light bulbs. The grand enchanter considered what to do. Perhaps he should join the pirates, then betray them and take the treasure for himself. But it was late and he had to press on for the ends of the earth. So he decided on a quicker and more courageous plan. He pulled the cork on the earwig pirate's bulbous bottle boat, and as it sunk, the lanternfish were released. Wilbur sailed on a little downhearted. He suspected he hadn't made a very convincing grand enchanter so far. He decided he would have to do better. But that afternoon his little boat drifted into the dreadful doldrums. Some newly blossomed butterflies brought the wind back. They were the butterflies he'd watered when they were wilting in the sun. He became ensnared in the slithering sea. A grateful friend arrived just in time. It was the monstrous sea creature he had released from the tangled net. A wild storm blew him into the maze of madness. A glowing avenue of lights guided him safely onward. They were the lanternfish with their light bulbs that came to save him. Eventually Wilbur came to the ends of the earth. A golden shell lay gleaming on the sand. Oh, he said, I thought it would be bigger. But Wilbur was determined to be a proper grand enchanter and roam the ocean for 100 years, maybe even 1,000. So he held up his arms and recited the magic verse. Snailing ship, rise and shine, hoist your sails and trim them fine. The earth shook, the sky rumbled, and the golden snail emerged from its slumber. It was bigger, much bigger. Wilbur's eyes grew wide, but he kept his nerve. Taste once more the salty brine, for with this spell I make you mine. The magic spell was complete. The mighty beast sprouted mast and sails and a rudder, the snailing ship. It turned to its new master and waited for his command. The grand enchanter raised his arms high, but then he saw the heavy chains and the cruel collar with its bell. And there at the ends of the earth, after all his long years of journeying, Wilbur realized he didn't want to be a grand enchanter after all. He thought back to the legend. Then he took off his hat and said, I command you to take me to the Spiral Isles. The Golden Snail surged toward the crashing waves. Wilbur tied his little boat to the snail's stern and leaped aboard. To his amazement, the mighty beast reared back on its keel and lifted up into the air. Up, up through the clouds, and emerged into a stunning new world, an ocean in the sky. They swept down to the Spiral Isles and dropped anchor in a sheltered bay of swirling mist. "I've brought you home," said Wilbur as he stepped ashore. He put his hat on again. "I hereby release you from your enchantment." The Golden Snail snorted in delight. As the chains, collar, and bell fell away, the rope holding Wilbur's battered boat snapped. There was a flash of light, and with a triumphant trumpeting, the Golden Snail was gone. Wilbur was alone on a cloud with no way to get home, but something was happening to his boat. The golden bell had hooked itself over the bowsprit, a parting gift. As he watched, the little boat began to glow. It turned to solid gold, and it had wings. As he headed homeward, Wilbur thought about his adventures and smiled. He knew he hadn't been a very good grand enchanter, and the captain's cat purred in agreement. But he was probably the best gallant captain there ever was. Do you think Wilbur was the best gallant captain ever? I do. And Wilbur learns just what to do and just when to do it on his grand adventure. He just couldn't help himself. He had to do the right thing.